I'm here today to talk to you about critical thinking, giving a new perspective on how we approach feminism. I have been the target of slut-shaming and seen what it has potential to do to someone. Yet many people still carry inappropriate motives of women. This is where the story of discovering my feminism begins. On May 18th, 2015, I woke up for school. I brushed my teeth, hygiene's important, people, and I picked out my outfit. It was around 20 degrees Celsius outside, so I thought that this would suffice. I got to school, and after first period, I did the morning announcements. It was my job as the school's communications officer on the students' council. After they were over, I got called to the vice principal's office. I was confused. I didn't see this woman outside of the council meetings. I sat down, and she said, "Laura, look at the wall and tell me why you're here." I was so scared of her voice. I looked, and there were all these posters on the wall. There was a picture of a girl wearing a crop top with a big X over it, a boy wearing a hat with a big X over it, a girl wearing a V-neck t-shirt with a big X over it, a boy wearing saggy pants with a big X over it. I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, ma'am. Am I violating some kind of dress code?" She said, "Yes." "Laura, what you're wearing is much too inappropriate for school. Laura, you're not allowed to show your face on school property until you wear something that you can be seen in." I didn't make it much past the outside of the school before I started crying. I got home and I sat on my kitchen floor, and my head was swirling with all of these ideas. I felt lonely and confused as to why I'd put on this outfit, and there was forced intention behind it that I never gave consent to. I was confused because it's 2015. Women are expected to be powerful and have careers, yet I felt the exact opposite of powerful in that moment. I felt isolated and ashamed that I would have to go back to school that day, tell my friends why I missed my favorite class, English, because I made a choice to wear this that morning. Why did I have to make that stupid choice? I knew that my outfit would have been too much for people. Now, why was it too much? Was it going to distract the boys? Was it setting a bad example? Well, according to them, both. I felt degraded, and I felt betrayed. I'd heard about catcalling from men, but a woman objectifying another woman, it's a different story there. More than anything, I felt small. As I was sitting on that kitchen floor, I was crying and a teardrop hit my forearm. And I looked down and I saw skin. And then I thought to myself, this is just skin. How is this skin different from this skin, different from this skin? Well, there's different intentions behind it that were culturally acceptable, but I didn't like. I had all these new ideas about my body and women that I wanted to share, but I was so scared because no one twice my age would ever listen to what I had to say, let alone believe me. I thought, okay, Laura, no matter if you're going to do anything or let this go, you have to put on a baggy t-shirt and baggy jeans, and I did. Because no one takes you seriously if you're disrespectful. I then wanted to give myself some sort of self-esteem before I went back to school and had to tell what happened. So what do teenagers do? We tweet. I spontaneously created the tweet, "My body, my business." It gave me some sort of outlet at the moment. It let me grip on to some dignity for myself. It gave myself power internally when I wasn't feeling any confidence coming from the outside world. I got back to school and told some of my friends why I wasn't in class, and they were disgusted by the incident. See, this wasn't the first time this had happened. A month before, a girl got sent home from our semi-formal dance for wearing a dress that was actually longer than the one that I was wearing because her boobs were too big for it. The dress code itself has 3 rules. First is no hats. Second is you can't show your midriff. That means no crop tops and no saggy pants. The third is that an administrative member can deem anything inappropriate. I believe that the vagueness of that is toxic. Some girls at my school saw my tweet and tweeted themselves. A grade 9 student said, "Laura, I'm so scared to wear a tank top to school because I don't want boys looking at me. Hashtag my body, my business." "Laura, I got sent home for wearing this a couple months ago. Thank you for standing up to me. I'm too scared to. Hashtag my body, my business." Soon enough, people were showing up to my school in tank tops and ripped jeans to support what I had to say. The whole school was tweeting and talking about it. The local newspaper then got a hold of the story, and from there, the local radio stations, the local TV station. I was confused. I'm no expert on gender studies. I was just telling people what happened to me that day. See, the story, it spoke for itself. From there, everything spread like wildfire. I made it from Vancouver Breakfast Television to the Toronto Star to being the top story on CBC The National. By the end of the first week, hashtag my body, my business was the 7th top trend on Twitter, and by the end of the 2-week mark, BBC Worldwide deemed me the 4th top trending story in the world. Wow. I still cannot believe myself when I say that. See, people were taking this story and connecting it to them. It wasn't just about my tank top anymore, it was about women in general having similar experiences. A woman from Germany actually Facebook messaged me and said, "I got sent home from my law office for wearing a dress. I don't believe that my profession should be limited because of what I wear. Thank you. Hashtag my body, my business." A man from Calgary inboxed me on Facebook saying, "My 2 sons love what you're doing. One of them is 7 years old and has no idea why you got sent home. Thank you for teaching them values at such a young age. Hashtag my body, my business." One girl inboxed me on Facebook. Her name was Jenna, and she said, "I've never agreed with having my body covered because if it is not covered, it allows boys and men to sexualize me. Our bodies are our own, and wearing a tank top or crop top does not mean I'm asking to be touched. Thank you for being the one to stand up for all of us." Well, you're welcome, Jenna. People had these voices and they didn't have an excuse to talk about what they wanted to talk about. They didn't have my story before to say what they wanted to say. I had amazing support throughout the movement, which really grew it to what it was. People were talking about how in 1970 they got sent home for wearing jeans. It says time warp on dress codes. So it wasn't just about my generation. See, this has been happening for a while. Why aren't we talking about it? The support I got really kept me going and saw how important it was to me. Now, just as much as there was the good, there was then the bad. People were saying things like, "Not to worry, girls, there will be no dress code in the waiting room at the welfare office." Okay, making a personal stab at my career. Someone said, "Well, the teachers are teaching anarchy and the students are learning from them." That seems to be the way of our country these days. Okay, talking about the school system. Awesome, different perspective. Someone said, "This girl has more to worry about than bare shoulders and dress code. Taking honors English in university is a fast track to the unemployment line today." Taking a stab at my education choices here at Queen's? Luckily enough, an anonymous user then commented, "You've gone off topic, Gordon. Stick to the storyline." Thank you, anonymous user. I agree. See, people were taking my story and nitpicking it. People talked about politics, the social climate in Canada. They talked about religion, my values, my vice principal's values. Everyone had something to say all of a sudden. Now, the comments that really impressed me actually were the ones that weren't bad, the ones that made my stomach curl, the ones that had me asking, is this person really real? And this is where my movement then expanded even further. One person said, "Huh? So you wouldn't make an assumption about someone dressed like an SS Nazi? Liar, liar, pants on fire. Clothing is a form of communication. If I dress like a homeless person, I should be expected to be treated like a homeless person." Now my question there is, how are you treating homeless people? So then here's this story. It starts at a tank top, right? Then it goes to a school of girls. Then it goes to women. Now it's about all oppressions, whether it be gender, sexual orientation, race, class. No matter your oppression, your body is still your business. Another person called in on a radio show and said, if it looks like a hoe, talks like a hoe, sounds like a hoe, it is a hoe. I really want to put emphasis on the word it there. See, the more that I put myself out there, the more that people like this would dehumanize me. And I believe that the dehumanization of people is what makes it really easy for objectification to happen. If there is no identity there, it's easier to judge. There was a poll done. Do you agree with the protest? 52% yes and 48% said no. It shows the radical clash of people. Once one side said something, the other side would come back with even more fire. And this is why the movement grew. There was so much controversy. So you can imagine that my administration was not so happy with me after all of this happened. About 2 weeks after I got to BBC, I was sitting in a class with my favorite teacher. Now, the teachers at my school were told not to talk to anyone in the school about it, especially not me. Any mention of my body, my business was forbidden. My teacher that day in class wrote on a piece of paper, and he dropped it on the ground. He waited a couple minutes, and then he stumbled over and said, "Oh, Laura." Picked it up and said, "Is this yours? This looks like your handwriting. Here, you must have dropped it." And he gave it to me, and the message said, "Laura, I am so proud of you. Keep being independent and using your voice for the good." Reading that note was one of the most powerful and beautiful moments of my life. Seeing him go past his boundaries to give me that message was amazing. In the end, the dress code did not get changed at my school, but I didn't mind. I challenged authority through critical thought and saw the powers of youth feminism. People are not often given that initial seed like my tank top to grow their motivation for independent thinking. I'm thankful for every single individual who gave an opinion in the movement, even those that didn't agree with anything I had to say, because there was opportunity for people to ponder the topic, ponder what they thought was right, share ideas, contrast, and ultimately see that such a seemingly insignificant issue was actually a prime example of a way of thinking. I am so proud of my youth feminist movement for its ability to create thought. Because don't we all deserve the chance to think? The conversation continues. I've recently developed my own website, mybodymybusiness.org. Here, people can have a safe place to continue these conversations and form their individualized, rational opinions. And more importantly, it's a place for you to donate to the London Women's Community House, which is a women's shelter in London, Ontario. Here, while you're empowering yourself, you can empower these women who need it most in a very tangible way. I am thrilled for this to keep going, because slut shaming is not fixed by my outfit being changed. It is not fixed by a changed dress code. The issue is in the perspective. It is crucial for us to come together and create for ourselves an increased level of consciousness. Through this, I realized that bodies are not inherently sexual, rather sexualized. Through everything, I refuse to dress in fear, live in fear, accept stereotypes and social constructs in fear of someone going against me. See, we assume, we judge, we objectify over and over, continuing this cycle of oppression. We teach the next generation that this is acceptable. We have the next generation have to endure the same tragedies that we have turned a blind eye to, because it is so much easier to change an outfit than it is to change a mind. We must create a culture where what we do, what we say, and how we feel are what matter the most. See, these are the true clothes on our backs. So how can you connect to my story? I invite you all to listen to that voice inside of your head that tells you that something is wrong and to go with it. I invite you all to respect one another even if you don't agree with what they have to say. I invite you to see the beautifully simple victories that are in conversation. And most importantly, I invite you to always be proud of whatever outfit you put on in the morning. Thank you.